So I'm here at the most wonderful place in the world, my shop. And I posted a picture of this on Facebook and people were asking me questions about it and wanted to see it when it was finished. So here it is. This is something I printed. It took 2 days, 6.5 hours to print. It's rather large. I call it the birdhouse, even though that's not what it is. But what it actually is it's a vacuum adapter where I hook my shop vac up to here and a hose up to here, smaller hose up to here. And it's multi-purpose. The one thing I want to do with it is, yes, I admit I'm one of the dregs of society, the dreaded smoker. So my ashtray in my Jeep won't come out. I've tried everything. I think the person before me who had the Jeep actually broke the dash trying to get it. But the thing won't come out. So what I was going to do is this has mesh in it. So I was going to suck out the cigarette butts, and the ashes will go through, but the butts will be captured. And then I've got this all, funneled down to this hole. Now, if I was doing this thing again, I'd do this bigger with a, and then just use an adapter on it, because that way I could pull the adapter off, and I'd have a much bigger hole to dump the butts, because I kind of got the feeling I'm going to have to shake this if it works at all. So that's one thing. The other thing was, and lo and behold, my guys left me this exact situation. It's like on my bench, we'll be cutting metal, drilling, doing all these things, and get a bunch of screws on there and everything, and then we got to try and pluck them out. So I was thinking I could, vacuum up the screws with this, and all the, metal and, the different kinds of debris would go through, and it would capture the screws as long as they weren't too small. So let's try this thing out and see if it works. Alright, now for the bench test. Alright, so let's see how that works. Alright, whoops, got a button there. Okay, that worked. Not perfectly clean, some debris in there yet, but it got the most of it. So that worked. So, how'd we make out? When I was looking at it, I thought it was working, but it'd be very disingenuous of me to sit here and tell you it worked when it failed. I'll tell you what happened. Is the hose. It got jammed, the butts got jammed up in the hose, both ends. So that was a failure on the cigarette butt test. It worked at first. At first it sucked in like 8 cigarette butts, and it worked. And then it jammed. So I'm going to have to go back to what I said originally in the video, that, I'm going to have to do a big end on this end, do a big hose, and then I'll just do a tapered end on the end of that hose to get down to the ashtray. Now the bench test was successful, so that did work on the bench test. I picked up all the screws, and again, you saw though that I had to, I had to shake them to get them out. So if I had a bigger hose on there, I could just, dump them right out. So it's going to be a redesign. And I'll probably do the layer heights a little higher this time so it doesn't take 2 days, 6.5 hours to print. So I get that under 2 days to print by doing that. So it's back to the drawing CAD. All the other problem I had was the hose. If anybody's going to steal my idea, the hose, I'll tell you these things so you can design them out. The hose actually at one point sucked itself all the way against the mesh. So what I'll need is a stop on the end. So put a stop there so that the hose can't do that. Because if it's up against the mesh, it's just going to suck in that little circle, and once that gets clogged, it's going to be done. Rather than this meshes the whole way. Once that sucks into that circle with the hose back, it has plenty of other places to go. The vast majority of suction is going to be right there until it gets clogged. Then it's going to start sucking everywhere else. So that's how it went. So like I said, back to the drawing CAD and a redesign, and we'll try again. But this is kind of how prototyping is. You don't always knock it out of the park the first time, so you just got to learn from it and go back and correct some of the mistakes you made and learn from the experiment. So that's it. We'll give it another shot.